Please be mindful of what we ask and or say, okay? So without further ado, here's Raquel Baez, who is our co-chair of this committee, who will start tonight's meeting.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our meeting, June 9th, 2021, 7:30. If we can stand for the national,
For the pledge.
for the pledge.
I can't sing the anthem.
You can stand.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America,
America,
to the
and to the
republic
republic for which it stands,
stands one
one
nation,
under
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 God,
God,
indivisible, with
with
liberty
liberty
and
and justice
justice
for all.
for all.
All right, perfect.
Thank you. We're going to start first with our agenda with the review of street activities. And the first event, ID 572116, St. Helena's Summer Fair Single Block Festival on Saturday, July 24, 2021, from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Setup 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Breakdown 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Location Castle Hill Avenue between Westchester and Starling Avenue. And the contact person is Todd Berman, and I believe Robert Ash is present also with us tonight.
And Mr. Ash was, he brought us our petitions and contacted the precinct as well since last month's meeting. Mr. Ash, do you want to say a few comments?
Yes, absolutely. Just first of all, can you guys confirm you can all hear me?
Yeah,
Yes.
perfectly.
Wonderful. Okay. Yes. Yeah. I came in, spoke last at your last meeting, and you guys had asked that I come back this month after petitioning the local merchants. I as well as reaching out to Board 9 and confirming that both precincts were aware of the event. I've done so. Actually went out door to door to all the merchants, making them aware of the event, and I provided the petition with their support. We also decided to invite them to participate free of charge in the street fair, both in the summer one and the fall one. And I think the majority actually are in full support and intend on participating in the event, and are very excited to see something on that side of the train. As a lot of them gave me some feedback, they always feel like the majority of activations and attention is going to the other side of Castle Hill Avenue. Say again.
Go ahead.
So at this point, I feel a lot of momentum and support from the community, and really look forward to bringing something interesting and exciting to the community.
Excellent, thank you. The next event is also pertaining to St. Helena's, and this is ID number 572125, St. Helena's Fall Fair Single Block Festival, Saturday, October 2nd, 2021, time 10 p.m. to 6 p.m. And I believe that should be a.m.
Yeah, we'll fix it.
10 a.m.
Cool.
to 6 p.m. Setup 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Breakdown 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Location again, Castle Hill Avenue between Westchester and Sterling Avenues. Contact person Todd Berman and Ash. Third event. Any questions?
Yeah, I was just wondering why they're not doing it on the property that they used to do it on with St. Helena's.
When the church first thank you, Bob. When the church first reached out to me, that they had asked to do such on the property and the adjacent street. I have oh my goodness, about 20 years experience in conducting street fairs throughout the 5 boroughs, and where block parties and traditional carnivals do work in say church parking lots or residential non-commercial streets. Street fairs really need to be successful. to be on commercial high traffic corridors. Coming up actually, next week on Saturday, I'll be in Westchester Square, working with the Westchester Square bid. Very much, the same model. Now, obviously, the bid is looking, to have it right there in their district. But my experience has been, in order for such events as this to be successful, we really do need to be on commercial on the major commercial corridors.
Okay, this is right around the corner from where I live, and I must say I'm very familiar with the merchants in that area. I actually was once the president of the Merchants Association over there. So I think something like this will benefit those merchants in terms of, giving them more recognition. People will learn who's there that maybe they didn't know before. So I really think these street fairs are a good thing in general. So I'm going to vote in favor of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. I appreciate your support.
Okay, the last event is ID 578899, 10th Annual Griswold Avenue Block Party. Time 1 p.m. to 8, should be, 1 p.m. to 8 p.m. Setup 12 noon to 1 p.m. Breakdown 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. Location Griswold Avenue between Dwight Place and McDonald Place. Contact person Alisa Levy, and I believe she's here too. You have
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
I'm sorry, what was the date of the event?
the date is
July 31st.
Oh,
July
Thank you.
1st.
thank you, Bob.
And Ms. Levy also brought us the petitions required as well, so we thank her for that.
Yes.
Any thoughts, Miss Levy?
No, we're just excited that we can do the the block party again. This would be last year would have been the 10th, but we'll make it this year. Very low key. It's on the form. We really don't have anything going on, just a couple of tents, individual tents, and people sitting and eating and talking, and just it's a full street closure is what we're asking for.
Excellent. We're ready for a vote.
Any questions from the members on either application, St. Helena's or Griswold? Let me just run through the video chat here. Make sure everyone's okay.
Motion to accept.
Okay, there's a motion to accept. Is there a second? I see Jerry Landy.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? So moved.
If you have your street activity permit, you're welcome to continue joining us for the rest of the meeting, but if your portion is now closed out, and we're going to move on to the other agenda items for tonight. So thank you, Mr. Ash.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Thank you.
So we'll
Thank
give
you
a chance
very
to log
much.
in.
Good evening.
Thank you. No problem. Give me a chance to log off before we move on to the New York City ferry service.
Mhm.
Can I ask a quick question? Can you guys hear me? Hello?
Yeah,
Is it-
yes.
What's it in regard to?
I don't know if I missed the beginning, to the Rodman's Neck?
We haven't got
Primary?
there yet. We haven't got there
Nothing
yet.
yet.
That's our
You
main
have
event
not,
tonight.
okay.
That's on
Thank you.
pay-per-view. So we're
I'll stay with you then.
no problem. Hang on. That's right after our ferry service presentation. Okay, so without further ado, we're going to hand it off to, I believe Roddy's joined us from the New York City EDC and give us an update on our impending project at Ferry Point.
Awesome. Hi, everyone. Good to see some of
How are
you again. I haven't seen a lot of you in quite some time. Some of you I saw a few months ago when we joined for the presentation, but thank you all for having me. I'm joined today with two of my colleagues from the and of course, we are in very close coordination with folks at Parks and other places who I see easily here. First, my name is Raddy. I'm with the Government Community Relations team here at EDC. I'll turn it to Jennifer to also introduce herself and some of my other colleagues.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jennifer Cass. I'm leading this project on behalf of EDC in the construction capacity. Or to you, Simon?
Hi, yeah, good evening. My name is Simon Betzalel. I work underneath Jennifer and I'm managing this project for EDC.
And hi folks, I'm Zoe Piccolo. I'm here with the Parks Department from the Planning Division and I work with EDC on the ferry projects.
Awesome. Hey, Zoe. Great. And
Vicky, would
introduce
you mind?
yourself.
Sure, I'm Vicky Christini. I'm from Clarion Engineering. I'm from the design team.
Great. So Simon, I think you're going to be able to join to share the presentation. This should be pretty short, but just basically wanted to come back to you all because we came back earlier this year. I know it's been a few months, and now that we're actually ready for construction, just want to make sure that we connect before the community board. I believe you all break for the summer, right? So I just want to make sure you all get an opportunity to connect with us.
Goodness, yes.
Awesome. You deserve it. So. All right, so ferry service, I know a lot of you have not only known about this for quite some time, but very vocally advocated for this service to come to the neighborhood. So let's just dive right into it, Simon, if we go to the next slide. I'll give a quick overview. Remember, it's 6 routes. This year, we're launching the St. George route, which is going from Staten Island over to the west side of Manhattan, and the Coney Island route as well. That's a little cut off here, but because we're focused on Throgs Neck. So on Throgs Neck, will be added an added landing to the Soundview route. It will get you into Wall Street in Manhattan in approximately 55 minutes or so. And this is a 7 days a week, year-round service. Typically, service starts around 6 a.m. and ends around 10:30. Depends on the route and the distance from the home port, but technically that's what you should expect. Although the subway, the tickets to get on the ferry match the subway fare. You can't use your MetroCard to get on. However, once you're on one of our ferries, you can certainly transfer to any other ferry line. For example, if you wanted to transfer and go down to Coney Island, that is something that you'll be able to do on this route. And that is for $275 as well. And that's basically the overview. We are about to start construction this summer, so I'm going to turn it to Simon, who's going to talk a little bit about what that looks like. Simon, are you muted?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how to unmute.
There he is. We hear him. Perfect. Simon, you just muted yourself one more time. You can do it, Simon. Come on.
Be nervous. These people are great.
Simon, just toggle the.
There we go. Sorry,
there
I'm not familiar
Perfect.
with this platform. You'd think I'd
No worries. No worries. Take it away.
Okay. Yeah, so this is just a brief overview of the construction that we're planning for this project. Here's a schedule kind of broken out into a couple different parts that I'll give a little bit more info about. But looking at sort of the parking lot, the work that's happening inside of the park, and then the construction of the pier and the ferry landing itself. So as you can see here, construction starting late summer and going into fall, early winter. Okay, so at the top is kind of a picture of what the project will look like at completion. It's oriented north is to the left, so kind of flip it in your mind. But just some general information about the construction. All of the construction vehicles and equipment that we're bringing in, we've coordinated those routes with parks, so we've made sure that they're safe. The flaggers will be assisting any of those vehicles. Deliveries into the park will be primarily in the morning or the afternoon at the end of the day, just to minimize disturbance to users. And we'll, for the most part, keep within standard construction working hours, so 7 a.m. to 5 p.m., except where nighttime work might be better to limit that disturbance. So equipment you might see on site is kind of standard for path or excavation work, but backhoes, compactor, an asphalt paver, dump trucks, etc. So specifically to talk about the parking lot, portions will be closed starting late summer through fall, early winter, but all with the end goal of providing new lighting, trees, 110 formal spots. Right now it's a gravel lot with some drainage issues, so we're going to be fixing some of that. We're also going to provide it's like a small shuttle vehicle. We call it a transit buddy to take ferry passengers from the parking lot down to the landing. And the construction within the park, overall, we're bringing power down to the landing, but we're also providing lighting within the park, as well as benches, bike rack, and we're going to be repaving the path and widening it a little bit. So a nice new even path. To do that work, we're going to be working in sections to try and minimize disturbance. So each section will be about like 200 feet. We'll have 2 to 3 sections working at a time, and each section will be closed for about 1 to 2 weeks. And then I mentioned we do some nighttime work. So for example, we're going to pave the pathway at night so it doesn't bother anybody that's using the park. And then finally down to the landing. This is kind of divided into 2 portions, the work that happens from the land and then the work that happens from the water. So we're going to construct a pier from the land that's going to be having 2 gangways that are going to go out to the barge. And a lot of that work will be done marine side. And also we're going to try and accomplish as much of it offsite as possible, like outfitting the barge before it arrives to minimize kind of the work we need to do on site. So again, just a kind of brief overview of where we stand and what we're expecting to do. And happy to have any questions.
So with that, just wanted to kind of wrap it up for us, but basically just wanted to come to you all because construction will start before your next board meeting. So I want to make sure that you all are aware of that. And, you know, I think the team is being very thoughtful and working very closely with parks to try to both expedite how quickly we can deliver this landing. I know you all have been, and I've said before, but you all were the most vocal community board that I have experienced, that were very clear that this is something you wanted. So it's balancing delivering that as soon as possible, but also trying to disrupt the park as least as possible. So that comes with both doing things in segments, as Simon pointed out, but also trying to do things a little later in the summer to avoid some disturbances of just regular park users, right, in the busiest season. You know, appreciate you all having us now today, but open and here for questions, anything that you all have.
I'm going to ask a question first since I'm next to my committee chair. But thank you. We're pleased to have the 210 parking spaces, the new bike racks, the new lighting. Ferry Point is one of the more used parks in the city of New York. So this addition will be, you know, outstanding for us. A question on the e-scooters. Is there going to be a plan for e-scooter parking at the site at all? In light of the pilot program existing here in Community Board 10, and I think in CB11 as well.
You mean outside of that parking lot that was shown earlier?
Yeah, like you know, I think the city wants to like block off, you know, maybe about 50 feet to allow for a landing for the e-scooters. And would that be included in the project?
I know that's not something that EDC is working on. I know when we first started this process, the goal was to really do some of the work to do the paving and some of the striping to actually formalize a lot of the parking in the lot that we showed in the lot that we showed earlier, but not anything on the eastern portion, as you're pointing out. That's not part of this project.
Thank you.
I have something I'd like to.
Hold on 1 second. Our committee chair wants to
Sure.
pose a question first. Okay, Raquel.
Hey, I think some of the members in the community are a little confused because I was just with some people that said that the ferry and the barge was moved to a different location, like underneath the Whitestone. And I just want clarification on that.
I will clarify that we can now move the landing from the last 2 times that we've been here. It is in the same exact location. So I'm sorry for any confusion and misinformation there, but that has not changed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bob, you had a question?
Yeah, we have been asked it several times now whether it's possible to put a harbor patrol out there. You know, we want a police harbor patrol for the Bronx, and this seems like the location to just add it on while you're in there. Has any consideration been given for the harbor patrol?
Yeah, we have certainly discussed with you all in the past. That is really something that, you know, PD, Coast Guard, and others would have to like begin that on their own. That is not something that is part of this project right now.
Well, all right, you can talk for a little bit.
Somebody else have a comment on that?
Any other board members?
I'm gonna go down the list just in case we miss anybody. But Denise Noble, do you want to question or comment on anything? Nothing at this time, okay. How about Jerry Landy? Any questions or comments? Nancy Rosario, any questions or comments?
I'm good, thank you, Matthew.
Okay. What about Peter Del Debbio?
No question or comment.
Okay. How about Tom Macamondo?
Thanks, Matt. I do have a
Sure.
on the parking situation with the parking lot there. This was brought up at about 2 meetings at least, that how much of the parking is going to be available for just for the ferry, or are you going to allocate a certain amount just for the ferry, or is the parking lot's going to be just wide open to anybody? Because I don't know if you know, in the summertime there, that parking lot is so full.
Yeah.
The cars are even parking along the park where it's no standing, and I'm going to start enforcing that they're not able to do that, because if you have to go around to get out of that area, and you go around the ring road like I have to do most of the time because I can't get out of that area, it gets blocked up. So I was suggesting that in the summertime, if you have people that want to use that ferry, they're not, unless you have a designated area where just the ferry can park, you're going to have a lot of problems with people parking and trying to get on the ferry, because that park is just unbelievable. If you go there, I suggested that you go there on a Saturday or a Sunday. And if you went there on a Saturday and Sunday, like last week I went to go around the park, there just was not one spot in the parking lot. I know the parking lot's not fully usable now, but there wasn't one spot in the parking lot. Then the people started going out into along the park where it's no standing only. So they were standing there. Now somebody comes along to drop off equipment or to drop off a cooler, then you just can't get by. And I'm going to start having the police enforce that they can't park there, or they're going to start getting summonses. So that's going to drive them back into the parking lot. So I think during the summer, especially during the weekends on Saturday and Sunday, it's going to be a conflict of people parking there and trying to catch the ferry at the same time. If you haven't been there on a Saturday and Sunday, you better take a look.
Yeah, thanks, Tom. So yeah, we certainly have heard that, and we have actually gone out there to really check things out, not only on weekdays, but also on weekends. Actually, I went out there for the first time on a weekend because of a conversation that we had. So I certainly have seen how much it is really utilized. I think it's a really difficult balance, right? Because it's parks property and it is a public park. So if there is a specific desire from the community board and an agreement with to try to delineate some of the parking, I'm happy to really have that conversation. But as of now, what we are aiming to do is really upgrade it's like striped and delineated parking and pave it and make sure all the drainage is done. But we are not at this point really designating specific spots only for riders.
Well,
But if that's something that the community board really cares about, I'm happy to have that conversation.
Well, you can address that down the road, because I think that's going to happen. I think you're going to hear a lot of complaints from the people that want to use that ferry. They're going to be calling into some office or calling into CB10 saying that they can't get on the ferry because the park is just overrun with people that go to that park. That park is known for tremendous amount of parties, loud music even at night. Like after the park closes, they congregate inside the parking lot. I forced along Ferry Point Park. I put no parking from 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. So they weren't doing the music there. So now that's driving them actually into the parking lot. Because when I talked to the police department now, he said they moved from there to actually in the parking lot is when they have their music at night now, because they can't go over there. How many parking spots are you going to gain now? Do you know how many parking spots is going to gain in that parking lot?
Yeah, we're gonna have about 210, including handicap spaces.
110.
I think the difficult thing is that since there's no striping in that parking lot now, it's a bit more disorganized. So we don't have a number that we know we're going to gain, but we do expect more parking spaces because it will be, more because of the strike.
Was any consideration given to, I know that somebody brought this up, it wasn't me, but I think somebody brought it up, that there's no bus service that goes there. The last bus stop is on Lafayette, and then the bus goes from Lafayette right onto the highway, onto the bridge. And was there any discussion about a bus going all a little further down?
Yeah, certainly some conversations that we're having with MTA. Interestingly enough, I know Farah, I see her on today, but from the council member's office also brought that up to us recently, and wanted to make sure that we are coordinated with MTA. I think it's a difficult conversation to have with MTA because they have their schedules and their a lot of these are select bus services that are either the express buses or something that are like moving on a tight schedule. So having them kind of veer off is a tough challenge for them. But that said, they have worked with us in some other places where feasible. So we're making the similar ask here. They actually worked with us down in Soundview in extending one of the buses closer to the landing, because that was also the caveat, though, is that was like the last stop on the bus route, and literally they just went down like 2 blocks to get closer to the landing. So it was much of an easier ask than what is here, but we are nonetheless working with them to try to get something. Can't promise that it's an MTA thing, but we're making the ask.
Yeah, what happened there was they had to move the entrance for the highway to get onto the bridge. They brought the entrance used to be all the way close by the park, but then they moved it because people that were using that entrance couldn't pay the toll and get over to Easy Pass. So they moved the entrance all the way up in the front. But now that the Easy Pass is there and there's no tolls, that wouldn't be an issue for them to relocate that. But that's a discussion with them, I understand. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other board members? Any questions?
There were no members of the public who signed up to speak after this portion. But if you are a member of the public that wants to ask a question, please write it in the chat, and I can get you an answer probably tomorrow with New York City EDC. Okay? But seeing none, I think we can let New York City EDC go and enjoy the rest of their night. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you
Awesome.
so much, Bradley, and your team.
Thanks for having us.
We're
Thank
so
you.
excited.
Great. And Matt, you know how to reach me if you have questions. I'll definitely let you know as construction's like about to kick off, but just wanted to like give you all the opportunity to ask questions in this forum as well. So we'll reconnect in the fall once construction is well underway and give you an update on where we are with launch.
Looking forward to this.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Let's give a moment for EDC to sign off unless they want to continue on and hearing this discussion on Rodman's neck. And I'll make sure to get a copy of all the presentations tonight so we can share with the public, and you guys can have it for your own records as well. So don't worry about that. One less task. All right, so I think we're joined by several NYPD brass. Don't know the names of every single person, but if you can, unmute yourselves and take us away.
Donataro.
Matt, can you hear everyone?
I can hear you, Anthony, yes.
Well, I'll start with the introductions from our side. This is Lieutenant Anthony Andriano. I'm with the Facilities Management Division. On the call, we're joined by Deputy Inspector Joe Notaro. He's the commanding officer of Facilities Management. Also along on the call is Detective Dean Anagnostis from our Facilities Management Division. We have Lieutenant George Eng from the Firearms and Tactics section, and then Matt Bessie from our Legal Bureau. And kicking off our speaking component will be Deputy Inspector Joe Notaro.
Hey, thank you. Can you guys hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. So, hello everyone. Good evening. I think it's been about a year and a half. I think I've addressed some of you folks that are on the line. It's about a year and a half ago, before all the craziness that we've had to deal with in the last year. But so just to summarize, kind of what we went over then and where we are now, I think is appropriate. So, at that time, we were talking a little bit about the renovation of the range, and we had some money that we said that we had to get that renovation done, but it wasn't what we were looking for. We wanted to do a full indoor range renovation, which we felt was appropriate for the issue of, the sound that everybody's dealing with out on the island. And the other thing was that we wanted to come up with a temp solution to bridge us until we got to that point of renovation, but we didn't have the money at that time. So fast forward a little bit, we never did get that funding that we were looking for that, I guess I'll call it the Cadillac option, to go for a full interior range. And when we got the bad news, we felt that we had to kind of regroup and kind of look at the scope of work and the things that the PD were trying to accomplish in this renovation, and really come up with a solution really to the abatement problem. But before I get to that and what we came up with, I'll talk a little bit about the temp solution. We do have the money for that. The money's already been approved by OMB, and we're already in the process of procuring that solution. I think we talked about it the last time. It's going to be, it's basically these sound abatement curtains that are going to go around the berm. We think that we're going to get definitely a reduction in the ambient sound out there with this. We talked to the vendor. We talked to a couple of engineers, so we're confident that this is going to get us, at least until we get the place fully renovated. And like I said, we're already in the process of procurement. We think that process is going to take us about 3 to 6 months. And I think that sometime next year, maybe the beginning of January, we'll start construction on that. If, sometime, in the winter, early winter, we'll be able to do that. So that's at least a plus. So I figure by April, we'll be done with the temp solution. As far as the long-term solution goes, what we had to do is we had to work with the money that we had. So what we did is we kind of shaved off a lot of the things that the police department was looking for. One of them was a tactical village. It was a very expensive piece, but we did it in order to come up with 130 range points indoors. So we were very happy with that because, the range is on the line, and if they can confirm these numbers or if they have it, but in our research, they do on average about 150 points a day on a heavy day when they're doing their training. So we'll be able to get at least 130 of those points indoors at that time. So that will definitely be the long-term solution. We'll have most of these folks shooting indoors. And that was the best we could do with the money that we had. And obviously we're doing this in a phased approach so that in the future, if we do get additional funding and we wanted to continue to put more of those points indoors, we'll have the ability to do that based on the design that we come up with. So we're not going to run out of space, or we won't be able to not add on. We would be able to do that in the future. But right out the gate, we're going to be able to get 130 of those points indoors with the original funding that we had. So I thought that was pretty successful. I thought my guys did a really good job. They sat down with the range folks and they were able to put their heads together. I thought that was, I was, satisfied. It was just the best we could do. So as far as when construction can start with that, we're in design. I think that construction for the long-term solution will start in 2023. That's best estimate, and we should be done sometime in 2026. So if you were looking for a timeline, that's a pretty good timeline right now. Obviously, when we get out there and you start dealing with field conditions, that could push the construction timeline out. But I think we're pretty confident with that right now. Is everybody still there?
Yeah, we're here. Did we lose you?
Is there
No, I'm here.
anybody?
I'm done. I really have. That's basically it. That's my summary, and I make sure you have a bunch of questions. So I'm ready to go.
Board members, any questions?
Start with Bob, who's our Precinct Community Council Chair, President Holder at 45.
Well, I think John Doyle sent some questions to them in advance from the Precinct Council. So I'm going to ask John to do that.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Raquel and Matt. Chief Natar, thank you again for indulging us. Obviously, it's good to have these meetings on an annual basis. I guess, we sent you a letter and we got a response, but in that response, some of our points weren't addressed. So I just want to go over them one more time. We've worked with you in the past to do a notify NYC for when you're going to detonate on site. I think a lot of the residents in the area greatly appreciate that because they can prepare and they're not alarmed when they hear an explosion. As you know, and as we've dealt with in past years, when the explosives are en route, you guys do sometimes shut down traffic. If there can be a traffic alert that goes out when there's a 5-car pileup on the Bruckner, there can be a notify NYC alert that goes out to let us know you're bringing explosives to the range so people can know to stay off the roads and alter their schedules. That wasn't addressed in the letter. Could you possibly advise if you guys can do a notify NYC for that and give us a commitment on that?
So you want to do a notify NYC when we're going to be?
If there's an emergency issue where explosives need to go to the range, because you wind up closing off traffic to everybody coming to or leaving City Island. So if I were to get that alert and I'm at my job, I'm not going to go wait and sit by wherever in Pelham Bay Park for you guys to pass. I'll go do something else or someone else. It allows people who live on or visit the island to adjust their schedules.
So I don't know that I'm equipped to answer that question because I'm not the CO of the bomb squad, and I'm certainly not the CO of the outdoor range. I'm the CO of facilities. However, I would say that it would probably not be a good idea to alert the public when we're carrying an explosive device. I don't know that that's something that we want to put out in advance to let people know when we're going to be coming. I don't think. Well,
in the past, sometimes City Islanders have found out because they're watching live footage from a chopper on CNN.
Right, but again,
So
you're asking me to tell you when we're going to. I don't know. I don't think that would be something that we would look to do. But again, I am not the CEO of the bomb squad, so I think it would be more appropriate to answer that out.
Okay, just so you know, in terms of background, when we asked for the original notification when the explosions were detonated, Commissioner Bratton was the one who notified us that notify NYC would be adopted. And now pretty much everyone on this board, as well as most people in City Island, get those notify NYC alerts, and they are appreciated.
And they are notified.
No, and I understand that. Folks,
when they're going to have an event at the range, they do notify. So if you're just basically notifying them a half hour early because they're going to notify when they're exploding anyway.
Understood. I am not equipped to answer that question. Right. That is not in my purview.
I totally understand that. Just if you could ask somebody in NYPD to respond to that, because that wasn't our letter. That's what I'm asking.
Yes, I could definitely try to take that back and get you an answer on that. That's fine.
Okay. And we asked this was also in the letter and we didn't receive a response. This was, again, we understand that when you guys have the heavy shooting days, obviously in line with the academy classes, we all understand that needs to happen. But if we could be notified in advance so people can adjust their schedule. During the summer, a lot of people on City Island have outdoor events. If they can know for these 2 weeks, there's going to be shooting, heavy shooting because of the academy graduating, it would give people a better opportunity to prepare and adjust their lives.
Nope, understood. I guess that's something also I'd have to bring back to the CO of the range to get an answer.
Right.
Isn't the CO on the range with us? Isn't the CO of the range with us? Didn't I hear that Lieutenant Nathan's here?
Well, the lieutenant's not the CO. If the lieutenant's equipped to answer that question, I'll definitely allow him to answer.
Hi, good evening, all. Hi, this is George Ng. I'm assigned to the outdoor range. How's everyone doing tonight?
Good.
So I understand the concern with the late night shooting, the heavy volume of shooting, and I understand it's not pleasant. But in terms of the high caliber rounds, we'll attempt to shoot those earlier during the day, during the daylight hours. But in terms of the volume of shooting, that's going to be tough because of the demands of the department, of how the classes that the academy classes that were pushed in post-COVID, post the breakout of COVID. So yes, there has been a high volume of shooting during the late night, and if that's something we can alert you guys with, I will let you know.
That's what we're asking, just for notification.
Yeah. And then there was one other, just so in terms of a point of information, in case anyone is watching this after the fact, we did ask for an adjustment of hours. That was denied, just so people are aware of that. The only other thing I think that's really of importance, and I know other people from City Island are going to speak, is we asked for about the environmental concerns concerning the range. And we were told that sampling happens biannually from 34 soil samples and 28 samples from groundwater monitoring wells, as well as 3 air monitoring stations, which kind of tells us where what monitoring is happening, but we didn't get anything related to the findings of those monitors. So just to put the community at ease, I see people on here from City Island Oyster Project, other environmental groups. The environment is of extreme concern for City Island. Everyone has a connection to the water. Could we please get the readings of these wells and of the monitoring that's taking place, so we could kind of independently verify that?
I
Yes.
haven't got construction or George. Who is that? Who does that? Who does the monitoring?
So from what I understand, I believe the range has a contract. They run the contract that goes out there and does the testing. As far as your FOIL request, I'm assuming you foiled this information and it's gone unanswered. Is that basically what you're saying?
Yeah. Foiled oil has not been successful on that.
Yeah. So, again, unfortunately, I don't know why they've gone unanswered. Again, I could go back and try to find out. But
I'd appreciate
I don't run the. Yeah, I don't know why the FOIL went unanswered, and I'll find out, to see if it's been received. I don't even know. How exactly are you requesting doing the FOIL request?
I'll go back and look at them. We've requested, I think, once or twice. And I think in the last letter we put pursuant to FOIL, and it just, I think you guys did FOIL it separately. But, if we could have access to those wells, and just so you know, we were actually once pushed to DEP. DEP pushed us back to you guys. Someone else said it was the state. We went to the state. They sent us to the Attorney General's office. So it seems to be kind of, and I'm not blaming this on you, Chief, but there seems to be a little bit of a runaround. And if you could just help us get an answer, and that everyone here could just see what's coming out of those readings, maybe everything's fine. I've heard from someone who deals with this stuff. Everything could very well be fine, but we don't have anything in writing showing us that it is. And I think something verifying that would go a long way to putting the community's mind at ease.
So I just want to be clear. Is it something that you've never received anything, or you received
That's
something,
correct.
but it didn't have the information you were looking for?
Never received it.
Never received.
One of the things you might want to consider is if there's a city contract for this part of it, then it goes to the controller's office. So we'll have to reach out to the controller as well. If there's a city contract, it's going through the controller's office.
Okay. I had some other stuff, but I'll email that over to you, Chief. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Raquel.
Any other board members have any questions?
I'm going to go with Andrew, just on the list here. Andrew, do you have any questions?
No, I don't have any questions, but I'm listening to everything.
I'm glad. Thank you. Denise Noble from Edgewater Park. Who often hears the. Okay, Denise is fine. Thank you. What about Hannah Akampora?
I'm good, thank you.
Jerry Landy?
The only thing I noticed is that it seems like the volume has been upticked.
That is exactly what I wanted to mention as well.
Yeah,
Yes.
because I could see it from my house, and I've noticed lately that it sounds like a war zone going on over there, and it's been going on a lot later. So I've heard a lot of people on the island asking me too, what's going on over there? I says, I have no idea. So Matt seems to have the same question. Why is there an uptick lately? It sounds like it's going on all day, continuously, and sometimes until after 8 o'clock at night. So
Yes, Lieutenant, is there anything different happening the past month?
Said we have been tasked with training more recruits. The recruits are on the later tour, so the heavy volume is as a result of recruits shooting into the night.
And also fireworks, a lot of fireworks being discharged. It seems to be that type of time of year, right?
That would be correct.
Because it sounds a lot worse lately. Within the last month, I would say it's a lot worse. So
Agreed. Thank you, Jerry. Maria Caruso.
I have nothing to add that's already been said.
Okay, thank you. How about Nancy Rosario? Peter Del W.
Nothing to add.
Okay. And Tom Accomando. Anything, Tom, before we go to the public?
I was just curious to see how late do they shoot to what time? What are the times that they use the range?
So we shoot from 8 in the morning to 9 p.m. So we
9
have
p.m.
training that comes in during the day shift. They come in from 7 to 3, and then the recruits get here by 1500 to squeeze in their curriculum and then take them out to shoot. Sometimes it does go into the night, but it's necessary. I know it's not comfortable, it's not pleasant, but it's necessary.
No, I'm sure that I'm sure because of COVID, a lot of officers didn't get their time, and they have to have a certain amount of hours on the range. They have to shoot a certain amount of times at the range. So I guess with COVID, that's why you guys are probably going into a little extra shooting there, because they have to qualify, right? Your officers have to qualify.
We had to make up shooters that did not qualify last year as well, earlier in the year.
Yeah, so that's probably why you have an overload. And you said you have a lot of recruits. I'm surprised. I'm surprised you got anybody wanting to join, actually, to tell you the truth.
Thanks, Tom.
But, you know.
Thank you, Tom. We're joined by Margie Velasquez, also our committee chair, who just joined us, but she has no comment or question at this time. And I just want to make sure we get to the public. Barbara DeLenzigs first.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. I was going to say on May 8th was a particularly interesting day. That was a big bomb that went off at about noon with no warning, and the smoke kept going all day long. Now, I know you guys are not the bomb squad, but it was amazing because the sound of the shooting that was going on, and it went till well after 8 o'clock. Those are not guns that are used by policemen in New York City, right? Aren't these federal agents or somebody other than the New York City Police Department that's using the range? And if money is a problem, Biden's giving away money. Let's go get some from somebody else to help increase the sound abatement over there. I live about 2,000 feet away from the range, so I'm particularly affected by it. And not everybody has the same issues that I do. I'm deaf in one ear, which is an advantage. But if the range is being used by others than just the New York City Police Department, can't we apply to them for additional funding so that you can get what you want?
Again, ma'am, most of our outside agencies shoot on the day tour, meaning the daytime hours. What you heard at night may be from our department. We do shoot high caliber rounds. I am aware that, for example, our ESU sniper team, they have to shoot their sniper rifles twice a year during the nighttime hours. That's part of their qualifications. And I was aware that sometime in May, they did shoot the course fire during the nighttime hours.
So it is.
Barbara, as far as funding is concerned, the 45th Precinct Community Council has reached out to all of the elected officials and all of the agencies more than once with that exact question. Why aren't they chipping in? And we never really did get a response.
Yeah, when possible, we will limit our high caliber shooting to the early daytime hours. But again, it's necessary sometimes to shoot the high caliber rounds later during the nighttime hours.
We're breaking up,
earlier in
Barbara.
the summer, there were some black planes without lights that flew over Rodman's Neck 2 or 3 times. Without any notification to the community. We all thought we were being attacked, of course. But is this kind of thing going to continue to happen? Do you know? I mean, it was very peculiar. They came in, they dove down, then disappeared behind Co-op City, and then they came back again. I mean, is that NYPD again, or or some outer somebody from another
It's
planet?
definitely a UFO. They've been sighting.
Yeah,
all
that's
over
what I
the-
figured. Yeah. Anyway.
Not aware of that that scenario.
Okay, well, thank you for answering the question, and thank you for the temporary abatement. This has been promised to City Island since the 90s, the early 90s, and I can't believe it's really going to happen, but if you can make it happen, you know, we'll send you flowers or something. I don't know.
We're definitely going to make it happen. Unfortunately, that's the stuff we could talk about. I could talk about the sound abatement for, you know, around the berms, and I could talk about the build out for the renovation and the points being indoors. Unfortunately, all that other stuff, you know, it's just, you know, I really don't have answers for, and I'm sure, you know, the lieutenant at the range is limited to what he can answer as well. But we are committed to getting that abatement done, and like I said, sometime by April next year, even though it's a couple months away, we'll have it up and running.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Barbara. Just want to have Joni pose a question or comment. And Joni, can I have your last name as well? It's *6 to unmute if you're on the phone. And just clicking the microphone if you're on a mobile
Okay.
or desktop. There's Joni.
Here I am. So I too, I mean, I'm hearing everything. I live in Country Club. I'm next to the Westchester Country Club. So we hear it. I work all day. I work at a hospital. The last thing I want to hear is when I come home, it sounds like Vietnam. It is the most disturbing, horrific, and I hopefully NYPD is still on. And I know they understand, but they don't live here. So to live here, to the point where you might want to sell your house, hopefully people that might be interested in buying are not aware of what's across the sound. I think it just devalues the property, the way of living, waterfront. It's a shame. And I know you told me it's going to start in 2023 and end in 2026. We'll have it temporary in the meantime. But what do we do in the meantime? When you work 16-hour shifts, I worked through COVID, that nightmare at Calvary. I work at Calvary Hospital. So to come home, and I know I'm not the only one, but it is horrific. You could smell the gunpowder. You can feel the booms in your chest. I don't know if you're all agreeing with me on that, but it is horrific. And this all sounds well and good. I wrote everything down, but what the hell do we do in the meantime? Anybody?
This, you know, unfortunately, I can't, you know, where our hands, we have to go through a process. I mean, the process is that we had to get the money, which we did.
Right.
We had to get the money approved by OMB, which we did. And now we have to get the procurement through to be able to go out and do the construction. This is that relief, that temporary relief until we get to construction.
What kind of
So, yes,
temporary relief?
I agree.
Can I just ask you, I'm sorry, honey, you said temporary relief, meaning what? Will we not hear it as loud or we won't hear it at all? Like what kind of relief?
It's going to definitely reduce the ambient sound. We said from the beginning, from the very beginning, the only way you absolutely eliminate sound is by going indoors, which is the ultimate goal and which we will get to at some point.
Right.
We will have that in this construction. So yes, you will get relief. It will definitely reduce the sound. But to say that, no, we're still shooting outside. We can't say it's going to eliminate noise. We can't. We're outside. I'm not going to say that. But I definitely reduced the ambient sound.
Okay.
Thank you, Joni. Last but not least, I want to just reach out to Linda Baldwin, who's also a Seattle resident. She may have another question on another topic, but just wanted to make sure to get her if she has any questions about the NYPD snack project.
I don't have a question, thanks.
No problem. Okay. Is there anyone else I missed that'd like to pose a question or comment on this project, Rodman's Neck?
Just once more, we're gonna
Yeah,
make
again, Bob.
sure, we're gonna start the temporary sound abatement in April of next year and have the temporary structure up by December of next year. Is that correct, Joe?
So by April of next year, I expect those curtains to be fully constructed by April of next year.
Okay, so we'll have relief by April of next year.
That's correct.
Okay, so that's really what we wanted to hear, is how soon that's gonna happen. So we're not that far off yet, folks. We got another 10 months and we'll get through them. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Bob, for that clarification. Anyone else that I'm missing? Anything in the chat? I don't see none. Wow. I think we're all set on Rodman's next, folk.
Just so you know, the precinct council will continue to follow up with this. The community board set this one up, so we did a joint meeting tonight, but we've been doing meetings with them and staying in touch with NYPD all along, and we will continue to do so. So probably towards the beginning of the year, we'll touch base with Joe again and make sure that we're still on track for April. So we'll be in touch again. Thank you.
All right, you got it.
Thank you, NYPD. You can log off the meeting if you wish. We're gonna start going towards our old and new business portion of the meeting.
All right, good night, everyone.
Thank you so much for joining
Thank
us.
you, everyone. Have a good night.
Thank you, guys.
Gateway.
Yep.
Our next presentation is from Gateway, Linda Baldwin, John Doyle.
No, Linda Baldwin and Maria Caruso first, who will discuss the issue, and we'll go from there. I think Maria Caruso asked that we invite Nivardo Lopez, the Bronx DOT commissioner, with some questions on the update of the site and how it's being used. So Maria, you can take us away.
Okay, thank you so much, Matt. Thank you,
Sure.
Raquel. It was brought to our attention about during our last municipal services meeting how Con Edison came and did a presentation as to how they wanted to start doing their project of bringing the gas lines into City Island, and how the routes that they needed to take. And one of the staging areas that they brought up that they needed to use was this area on the other side of City Island, the City Island Bridge, as you come across the bridge on the left-hand side, known as the Gateway. Just to be transparent, I sit on the board of the Gateway Project, which is a not-for-profit organization that was put together last year or 2 years ago. And there are some other members of Community Board 10 that are on this committee, like Pete Del Debbio, and I don't think Tom Smith is on this particular committee, but he's also a board member, which is made up of community leaders throughout the island, the community center, the Civic Association, the Nautical Museum, the American Legion and the Chamber of Commerce. So we have all leaders within the community. So if I can try to share my screen, which I'll try, I wanted to just bring up a map that was provided to us by DOT a few years ago. Let's see, I can do this. Okay, can you see that? Hello?
It's a black screen, actually.
It's a black screen?
Yes.
There it is.
There we go. There we go. Nice.
Now we got it.
Okay, so if you remember from the Con Edison presentation, they were talking about bringing pipes in sort of throughout underneath the water here and accessing the land over in and about this area. This is where the water access is and they said that they would like to use this area as a staging area. So where the green is outlined here is what is designated as DOT property. And this lot here, which is lot 149, is a privately owned portion that incorporates the dock here and a little bungalow that's on the water here. But and then property lot number 150, they have use of a little bit of the portion of the DOT space here that they rent. But the portion that we're really mainly concerned with is this portion right here. So Con Edison said that they would come in, their project would last about 6 or 7 months, that they would use this as a staging area. They would just need access to this part, a little bit of the parking area here, where they would have one of their, where they would need access to their gas lines, just in case of any kind of emergency. But after that they were finished, that they would be gone, and that it could be used for the community however we so choose. So we have approached DOT a few years ago, and we were trying to get a lease or to lease the space here so that we could beautify it to have the community use this property for waterfront access and whatever we determine. I mean, we don't have a clear-cut list of things that we want to do right now because we are still in the process of trying to get the lease. So but we do have a vision in mind, and we do have a we do have goals that we would like to achieve to educate the public and to make it sort of like a staging area, ecologically friendly, plant things just to beautify it. Because what it is looking like right now, and if I could show you these other pictures, if I could possibly share these, it's actually being housed by a construction company, a private construction company that is parking their vehicles and their construction equipment on this DOT space. And we had heard that the private owner of the lot next door was receiving funds to lease this space that is not actually his. So these trucks are not allowed to be here, as far as they're non-conforming as far as the zoning in the area, and also the equipment that they have here as well. So they have construction equipment and these trucks. It's not zoned for that, and it's it's an eyesore for the community. So we really, really want to hear. We were promised by DOT last year that there was going to be some kind of enforcement, that they were going to approach this private construction company and ask them to remove
Maria,
the vehicles.
I hate to interrupt, but we can't see any of your pictures. I think because you are sharing your web browser.
Oh.
That's what we get. That's what we get, not the picture.
Oh, okay. Okay, so I'm gonna, I guess, stop sharing then if I.
Okay, and then maybe you can probably place the photo on your okay, there we go. Nicely
Oh,
done.
you can see it now?
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, this is the construction the trucks, and let me see if I could just also show the overall view of the, it's just an eyesore. I mean, we call it the gateway because it's the gateway up to City Island, which should be beautiful, and we have shovel-ready projects that we want to get started with to just really beautify the area. And this company should not be doing this. They shouldn't be there. And DOT has promised that they were going to enforce that they leave, that they would fine them for being there, and then remove the vehicles and charge the company for the removal of the vehicles. So the last conversation that I had with Commissioner Lopez was that he had mentioned that there was some complications because the company had some legal some legal reason for being there. And that's what I just wanted to ask him tonight, if he can explain what those reasons are, what legal to me means a lease or some kind of letter of acceptance from the property owner, which is DOT. So that's why I was curious and would like to ask Commissioner Lopez for that, if he could provide us with that information. So I can stop sharing now, I suppose, which I will.
Thank you. Commissioner, are you there to respond?
Yes, and good evening, everybody.
Thank
Good to hear everyone's voice. Sorry that I'm not able to appear on camera. Unfortunately, my my home office setup is not usable right now, so I'm having to use my my phone to talk to you all tonight. In answer to Maria's question, we we were made aware that someone was using the site. We looked into it. We're still looking into it because the company that is using the site, they are claiming that they are leasing or renting the space from a third party that has an agreement with the city. We don't believe there is such an agreement, but we have been researching, DOT with DCAS, also with EDC and SBS, also with the law department, to sort of, we want to be 100% certain that there is no lease, because if there is a lease, then that complicates any ability to sort of let anyone else use the site. I'm sorry, not lease, license. Short-term license agreements can be terminated by the agency, usually as a condition of the short-term license. There is language that says, we can terminate if we need this to be used for city purposes. Now, if they are using this site without any paperwork, then we would probably have to initiate some legal action to get them out, and I'm not really sure how long that'll take. But we've been sort of looking into this for the last couple of months, and I was hoping to have an answer soon. I still think I'll have an answer, hopefully before the end of the month, as to what our next steps will be. But that's kind of where we are right now. And we wouldn't be able to sign any license agreement with anybody until we sort of sort out the issue with Con Ed, because Con Ed has expressed an interest to be able to use this.
So where does that put Con Edison's starting their project? I mean, if there's going to be some extended legal action, if these people aren't supposed to be there to get them out, because Con Ed was talking to us about starting in the fall of this year.
Well, we're hoping that we can resolve this before Con Ed begins their project. And I've been in communication with Con Ed about this. So
Okay.
Con Ed, just to provide further background, since this property is along the waterfront, and this property, just so everyone understands, is the mapped but unbuilt portion of City Island Avenue. City Island Avenue on the city map is actually much wider than it appears in person when you see it. It extends almost all the way out to lot 149. Since that portion of City Island Avenue abuts the waterfront, Con Ed needs to get permits not only from DOT, but also through Small Business Services, since the Department of Small Business Services years ago inherited the portfolio of the New York City Department of Ports and Terminals. The Department of Ports and Terminals was the agency, several decades ago that would handle and regulate the New York City waterfront. That's now done through SBS, And since SBS doesn't have a they sort of like outsource their sort of permitting to EDC. So, it's sort of DOT, EDC, SBS. We would be the agencies that permit, that would give a permit for Con Ed, because the Con Ed work only isn't just in the roadway or the map roadway, but it also would affect the waterfront.
So since Linda Baldwin has been involved in this project a bit longer than I have, I would like to ask her if she has any comments or questions for Commissioner Nivardo.
Hi, good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to participate in the conversation this evening. I wanted to just mention that Maria had mentioned in her conversation about the Gateway organization, and I wanted to be sure that everybody understood that Gateway has submitted an application for a license, not a lease, which is the same month-to-month type of situation that I understand maybe the current tenant may have. We did submit that application to DCAS back in November 2019, and we have been waiting since then for a response on our application. And DCAS has mentioned that they've cleared it, they reviewed it, and they've been waiting for the sign off from DOT. At that time, there wasn't anybody using the property. It was open. And so our concern is that by not appropriately indicating the perimeter and securing the perimeter of the property that's city owned, that there may be additional confusion with regard to what property is city owned and what property is privately owned. We did mention that to Councilman Jonai one day when he came to meet with us at the property, and he did agree that that was a problem, and he was willing at the time to commit discretionary funds to erect a fence there. I would love it if DOT would speak to Councilman Jonai, and if they could agree on marking where the boundary is in some fashion. And even if fencing isn't something that could be undertaken at this time, perhaps DOT that has access to the Jersey barriers for all kinds of construction projects could just come and move some Jersey barriers onto the site, more carefully outlining where the city-owned property ends and where the private property begins, because that is really the source of the problem. The private property owner likely thinks that he owns more than what he does, and he may be indicating that to his tenants. So there may be a very simple resolution in the short term. Once that boundary is properly demarcated, then there could be an easier conversation about where the tenant of the private property owner should be. On the question of whether there is an existing license for the property, that's something that we'd be very interested to see when, in fact, if ever there is paperwork that matches that line of explanation about why the trucks are there. That's not what we've heard in the community. We've heard that the private property owner is in fact just extending the boundaries and leasing it. So we would love to see that. And we really do hope that DOT values the community's interest in improving the site. There is no firm plan as to what should happen at the site. The Gateway Board has said that it's going to seek input from everyone in the community and try and reflect what the community most wants at the site. But I don't think we've heard anybody who believes that it shouldn't be spruced up and beautified in some fashion at a minimum for the community. And so with that, I just thank you for your time. Thank you for the opportunity to comment on what's been mentioned. And I want to thank Maria Caruso for her tireless energy in pursuing this issue, which is really, so many people have come to me with increasing frustration over our inability to be able to make something happen. So I'm really glad that Maria has taken up this issue at the community board level, and thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Linda. So if anybody else has any questions, I'll give it back to Matt and Raquel.
I think John Doyle had a question, but I wanted to make sure, Nivardo, do you want to respond to anything Linda mentioned, or?
No, I mean, I just want to thank, Linda, I know you and Maria have been very patient. This has been a very long process, longer than it should have taken. So, I do apologize that it's taken this long. I do appreciate that you guys have been patient. I just ask that you just bear with us a little bit longer for us to come to a resolution on all these questions. Boundary, who owns what, and what we can do there. Once that's settled, at the very least, there can definitely be some type of an agreement where, a third party can maintain and beautify the space. It wouldn't go beyond that, but at the very least, it wouldn't be an eyesore anymore.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. John, do you want to close this out?
Thank you, Matt, and thank you everyone who's working on this. Nivardo, I just wanted to ask, and I know you're someone who cares about the community and cares about the Bronx and everything. I have two aunts who live very close to this, so I get a lot of questions about this site in particular because they're both very persistent people too. Is its use right now with these trucks legal? And if it's not, what can be done right now to get the trucks off? Because a lot of people, I think Linda said it very well, everyone wants to see it spruced up and nobody is happy with the condition it's in right now. And it's been like this almost a year with the trucks there, if not a little longer. And before that, I know you and I have emails going back to 2019 about it being a parking lot. So, what sort of vetting or process, whether that's a lease, whether that's a license, whatever, is done to make sure whoever uses the site is using it within the zoning and legal compliance? Because that's not what's happening now, so it seems. So question, comment, however you want to take it. Thank you very much.
So I don't know if there's any zoning limitation. I have to double check that. But the issue isn't really the zoning. Our concern is more whether or not people are illegally squatting on DOT property. And if they're illegally squatting on DOT property, then that's like the first thing that needs to be resolved. So as I said earlier, I don't have a definitive answer because that's something we're still trying to figure out. We think they're squatting, but before we pursue, concrete, legal action, we need to be 100% certain that there is no, all the records within the city agencies are in agreement that, that southern portion, the northern portion, there is actually a license, the portion north of the building that's there. But as Maria said, we're talking about the portion to the south of the building. There shouldn't be any outstanding license agreement, but you want to be certain, and then we'll be able to take steps to get whoever's there to vacate. But we need to be 100% certain on the status of that portion of City Island Avenue, and as Linda mentioned earlier, clearly delineating the boundaries.
There is a zoning violation going on there. Linda, did you want to expand on that?
Sure, thanks so much. I actually have a planning background. I was a city planner at the Bronx Office of City Planning too many years ago for me to mention. And I do know from looking at the zoning map that it's a C3 zone, and that's a very special zone that only exists in 2 neighborhoods in the city of New York. It's a maritime zone, and it's very clear as to what uses can be allowed in a C3 zone, and they have to relate to maritime uses. That does not include parking of trucks and other types of vehicles of that nature. So just wanted to share that. And if you'd like some additional information on that, I can share that with you, Commissioner.
I'll ask. I'll speak to DOT Legal and the Law Department about that as well. Just so you know, that could definitely be something else that we can use. If there's anything you want to share with me, then absolutely. I believe I have my email address. If you don't, I could reach out to you directly with my email address if you need it again.
Thanks so much. I'll do that.
Thank you. That's the last comment. I'll leave Linda at that. For this topic, I don't want any grumpy board members. Any grumpy board members mean grumpy Matt Cruz. So we're getting close to 9 o'clock. I don't see any other questions or comments in the chat. Was that Peter?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Peter. I was gonna ask for board members to see if they wanted to comment. Go ahead.
Chairman Raquel, I would just ask, I have a question under old business for Nivardo Lopez when we get to that point. And I've kindly asked him in the chat if he could remain until we hit old business.
Well, we're there right now, but you can pose your question if you'd like. Pete?
Thank you. On the topic of old business, in regards to the Legion Triangle, 661 City Island Avenue. Commissioner Lopez, I'd just like to either talk to you or talk to a representative. We'd like to do some enhancements at that location. I realize it's owned by DOT, so before I take any liberties, I'd like to get some approvals. And I'm not sure whom to communicate with.
And Peter, I actually have to apologize. We spoke about this, I think it was last month, and I owe you a phone call. So I still owe you a phone call, and I'd be more than happy to schedule something, before the end of the week, to speak with you to figure out, what the request is, and then figure out what the next steps are. So I apologize for not contacting you sooner. Thank you for reminding me.
Notice I made no reference of that whatsoever.
No, I want to be fully transparent that you have reached out, and I want to acknowledge that you have reached out, and that I owe you a call.
Yeah, I've again placed my number. I've placed my number in the chat for your usage if necessary. Thank you,
Great.
Commissioner, and have a great evening.
Same to you. Thank you.
Are there any other old business items for the committee? I'm going to give it to Raquel for new business. Go ahead, Raquel.
Okay. Last week, we had the pleasure of going on tour at City Island, particularly with the problems of flooding in different streets. John Doyle was kind enough to give us the tour, and there were other agencies there like the Oyster Project, Hutchison River Restoration. Some people were there from the mayor's office and different agencies. And we walked through, and there is a need for improvement, and there is need for action to be taken. So the street flooding, this will be a district needs capital project for September. So we're hopefully trying to correct what's damage that has been done and the water that's been stagnated, causing many problems like mosquitoes and West Nile virus. So just wanted to let everybody know that, it will be addressed during the capital needs project in September. Any questions?
Seeing none.
Motion to close the meeting?
We have some questions in the chat room from Denise.
Okay. I didn't see those.
Mm.
Denise, you can unmute yourself if you want to discuss some of these.
The first was just an update on the status of the left turn lane into Locust Point on Harding Avenue. Has there been an update from, I think Commissioner Lopez, Commissioner Lopez is still here. Is there any update on that proposal?
I don't have information in front of me, but I can definitely follow up with the manager tomorrow.
Thank you, Commissioner. Also, then the status of the entrance to the Togs Neck Bridge at Harding Avenue. I don't know, I was out there before 5:30 this morning and everything was gridlocked. There was a lot of traffic on both bridges today. It was a nightmare. Memorial Day week before even the holiday. Started on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I didn't see any traffic agents or MTA police or NYPD out there directing traffic. I saw almost pedestrians getting struck with cars running red lights. I know this has been an issue, and we had a letter from the MTA, but I'm still hearing a lot of complaining from Locust Point residents, other residents. I don't know if it's worth revisiting this. I don't know if we want to go to a public hearing. I don't know what's left to do, and if there's any other, compromise with the MTA, Matt, that you've been able to come to.
There is none. Their ultimatum is pretty firm, in my opinion. They're asking us to send them a letter asking them to close the entrance entirely. They're not revisiting having it opened or closed during certain times, as we had about 3 or 4 years ago. They said no to that. Their letter states that if we were to vote, we can ask them to look into closing the entrance entirely to all of Throgs Neck, going towards Queens. Is it possible to have a public hearing on this topic? Of course. But I'm not sure if any other members or board members want to speak out on this issue and feel this may be too big of a decision for the board to make. Closing an entrance that, again, Throgs Neckers use pretty often as well to go to work or school or what have you. But, it's up to, of course, the committee if they wish to have a public hearing on this topic, and then we give MTA Bridges and Tunnels, our decision. But I'm open to hearing from other members about that particular point.
Hello?
I spoke against it in the past based
I
on
know.
also public safety.
I know.
Jim,
Yeah,
if we do have a conversation, we should have included fire department and police department, because they do respond, they do use that exit, and they respond to rescues, etc.
Right.
So I would like them to at least be included. Thank you.
Absolutely. And Jerry, go ahead. I saw you had a comment.
I've lived there most of my life until I moved to City Island. My father, Jimmy McQuaid, and a bunch of guys had that closed during certain hours, and it worked forever. And all of a sudden, they took it away from Locust Point. That was closed during the high hours, between 3 and 7 o'clock on the weekdays, and it was open, and it was closed sometimes, and we had it open. It worked. For some reason, they just stopped that. And we've looked into this a lot. I've been involved in this for a long time, and we can never understand why they closed it. Some people were blaming Locust Point residents, and then we had a meeting with Locust Point, and Locust Point wanted it closed. So this has been a weird thing, because we had this fixed, and for some reason it was stopped. So I would agree to go back to the way it was, because it worked. I don't know. For 20-something years, it worked. So I think if there was a meeting, the only reason we would have a meeting is to fix it, not just to talk about how to fix it.
Yeah, I can see if we can get something over the summer to see what we can do just between
Because everybody was complacent, because during COVID nobody drove, and I told everybody, and I had this at the last meeting, that once the world opened up again, this was going to be a major problem. And from what I'm understanding, it's become a major problem again. So yeah, I think we should address this in a meeting. I really do.
The only concern is that they're asking us to take a vote on closing it entirely.
Matt?
Wanted to make mention of that point.
I truly believe that if we sat down and talked, we could get it back to the way it was. I don't understand what's this doom and gloom. You don't like it this way, we're going to shut it all down. I don't understand it. I don't understand that at all.
I can send a letter to all of you as well, once again, so the committee's aware. But yeah, Bob, I know you have a comment or question.
The problem is that you're right. They're giving us this ultimatum, one or the other. They're not willing to compromise. We've tried that many times. So at this point, I think we need to go to higher ups. We need to go to the elected officials that they have to answer to and get them involved. This is a state issue, isn't it, Matt? So we need our state elected officials to get involved in this, because we're not going to be able to resolve this on our own. We need to step up our action. And if that's something that needs to be done in a public hearing, so the state elected officials know what the community really wants, then maybe we can get some results. But you're not going to get it negotiating with people who have already given you an ultimatum.
Thank you.
Agreed, Bob, agreed.
Any other comments or questions from membership? All right, so I'll get to work on that.
All right,
Anything else?
Raquel, are we ready for a motion to adjourn?
I was ready a long time ago.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay.
Second.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you,
Right,
Commissioner
appreciate it.
Lopez. Thank you,
I was not
everybody.
able to put into chat that I would speak.
See you
Matt?
tomorrow.
I'm sorry, who wanted to speak?
Well, it was Kevin. I thought I had registered and I can't type into
Oh,
chat, but I guess.
I miss Kevin. I miss Kevin. Did we close the meeting already, or do we
Yes,
want to
the
hear?
meeting's closed.
I apologize, Kevin. I didn't know that was your phone number during the meeting.
Let me had to go forward, that's all.
If you can't, just email your questions and I'll get it to the committee chair as well.
Okay,
Good night,
I think
everybody.
at this point, thank you very much. No problem. I'll copy Nivardo as well because the points now relate, to
Okay.
the DOT. But thank you very much
Cool.
anyway, guys. No problem.
Thank you, Kevin. Sorry about that.
Thank
All right.
you, everybody.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good
We miss
night.
Kevin.
Good night.
Good
All right,
night,
thank
all.
you.
Sorry, Kevin.
Thank you. Bye-bye.